There is a passage of Scripture that says, in the last days, perilous times will come. And I want to be very frank this morning with you. The homily that I have prepared for you is a homily that I regret having to give in this day and age, but it is a homily nonetheless that must be preached. Recently, there was a 21-year-old young lady in another country, not in this country, but a country that has laws concerning assisted suicide. This young lady did not have a terminal disease. She was simply depressed. And she received permission for her doctors to end her suffering at 21 years of age. We live in a day and an age, dear ones, where society, because it has lost its mind, because it has forgotten that there is a creator, that society is now making it easier and easier to dehumanize those who are suffering. Now, make no bones about it. I don't care who you are, and I can tell you from personal experience that I've been beside the bedside of someone who had been suffering for quite a long time and watched as their family agonized over what to do. Brothers and sisters, this is nothing new to me. I've seen it over and over and over again. But as you've heard me say on numerous occasions, physical suffering is not the worst thing that can happen to a human being. But because humanity has forgotten God and forgotten the resurrection of the dead and forgotten the fact that there's an eternity waiting for us, humanity is now turning towards using killing as medicine. I use that phrase on purpose because it is a very sobering phrase when doctors who used to take the Hippocratic Oath, and part of the Hippocratic Oath was do no harm. We live in a day and an age where actually doctors are now doing harm. And they're being forced to many times by the states. Our friends to the north, Canada, are now having an absolute fight over how far they're going to allow euthanasia to go. Already, Canadian doctors must assist someone in the ending of their life if that's what they wish. If there is a moral problem with that doctor, he then must refer that patient to another doctor who will assist that person. What has been dressed up to look like compassion, watch me here, folks. What has been dressed up to look like compassion is actually the ugliest form of blindness. Because what is passing itself off as compassion is actually dehumanizing the world. Because, brothers and sisters, if we get to the point where we say that physical or even emotional or mental suffering is the worst thing that can happen, and the kindest thing we can do is stop suffering, what we will do, brothers and sisters, is we will create a society where men and women, even against their own will be forced to end their lives. And make no mistake about it, dear ones, at the bottom of all of this is money. What do you mean, Father Barnabas? I mean simply this. Actuary tables all over the world can predict when is the best time for someone to leave the scene. When is it the most... Isn't this horrible that you have to say something like this in public? And yet humanity has lost its mind. We have so degraded our humanity, and we have so foolishly fell for the lie that my personal comfort is the most important thing in the world, that I have reduced my human life to only when I'm happy or only when I feel good. Well, if that was the case, every time I had a headache, I'd want to scream into the night. But look at our gospel lesson today. What does Jesus do? Jesus goes to the place of suffering. He goes to this pool called Bethesda. And there he finds a man who's been sick for 30 years, someone who's been suffering for 30 years. In our modern society, that person would have been deemed by the medical community as not having a quality of life. And yet, brothers and sisters, the Christian faith leaves no room for any other decision but to understand that life is a gift of God. Life is a gift of God. Therefore, a gift cannot be personally owned and disposed of simply because you no longer find it convenient. Life is God's gift. Life is to be honored and valued from natural conception, from the moment of conception to natural death. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. But Father, that's difficult. Welcome to truth. But Father, that can be uncomfortable. Welcome to reality. But Father, that can be inconvenient and even costly. Welcome to what is. Ladies and gentlemen, we must escape the prison bars of this madness. This is madness. We stand on the precipice of watching our elderly parents involuntarily leaving the scene. In this society, oh Father, it can never happen here. It's already happening in Europe. It's already occurring in Sweden and in Denmark, where euthanasia has been legal for many decades. It's already happening. The inconvenient are being disposed of. And when you reduce human existence to that reality, then all that matters, brothers and sisters, is whoever has the power gets to decide who's inconvenient. Whoever is in power gets to decide who's inconvenient. Dear ones, this morning, Jesus Christ heals. He doesn't destroy. Jesus said it best in John's gospel when he said, I have come that you might have life and have it to the full. The thief only comes to kill and to steal and to destroy. But Jesus has come that we might have life and have it to the full. Father, do you mean to tell me that people can have full lives even while they're suffering? Brothers and sisters, I'm going to go even further than that. Are you ready? You may want to fasten your seatbelt here. You may think I'm a fool. Wouldn't be the first time somebody's thought that today. I'm going to go even further than that. I'm going to declare to you that if the Orthodox faith is true, and that Jesus Christ really has risen from the dead, suffering on the cross for our sake, and being buried in a tomb, if Jesus Christ has passed through all of that hell to get to the resurrection, then there is not 1 second of suffering that is bereft of God's presence, 1 moment of suffering that is absent from God's love and God's notice. And notice, brothers and sisters, that all suffering by its very nature is not eternal if you're in relationship with Jesus Christ. Only those people who foolishly choose to disconnect themselves from Christ experience suffering forever. How foolish that can be. So I challenge you this morning to see this Sunday of the Paralytic as a witness of our Orthodox faith, to speak to our increasingly insane society. Stop. You're going down a road that is going to take you to a place that will make your society hell. Stop. You're going too far. Stop before you can't turn around anymore. The Orthodox Christian faith says to modern society, stop. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, filling every moment of human life with the potential of experiencing the joy of Jesus Christ. Let us, brothers and sisters, not be blind to the tricks of the evil one to dehumanize those who society says are inconvenient. It is not the gospel. It is not the Orthodox Christian faith. It is not the gift of God. The gift of God to all of us is life.